Hello, everyone, and welcome. We'll call the meeting of the Madison City Commission to order for the meeting of June 18th, 2012. Jen, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Delzer?
Here.
Commissioner Erickson is absent. Commissioner Waldner?
Here.
Commissioner Abraham?
Here.
Mayor Hexum?
Here. You have the minutes of the June 11th meeting as a part of your record. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes of the last meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 11th as presented.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded that we approve the minutes of the June 11th meeting as prepared. Any questions or speaking? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried. The agenda for this meeting is before you. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda submitted. Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the agenda as prepared. Any questions or speaking? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion is carried. Under appearances, acknowledgements, and correspondence, we have one item, and that is to acknowledge the May Airport Board minutes. Are there any questions or comments on the Airport Board minutes?
Make a motion to acknowledge the airport board minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to acknowledge the Madison Airport Board minutes of their meeting of Tuesday, May 15th, as presented. Any questions or speaking to that motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. We have no items listed under old business. We have several items listed under new business, and I think we can probably take these and in order as they are presented. Number one, I had asked to put on the agenda to discuss the joint city-county committee on flood prevention and flood control. Commissioner Abraham and I met with the Lake County Commission at their meeting of a week ago to kind of discuss in general what procedures might be put in place to keep the whole business of flood prevention and flood issues kind of on the table and moving forward as much as we can. Commissioner Abraham, please join in if you wish. I'll just try to briefly summarize. I think we had a good discussion, and Don Thompson was there, and Don Thompson is here tonight. I think the commissioners were generally in favor of some type of a joint working committee, whether it's a task force, working committee, to kind of move forward with some things, especially relating to the things that relate outside the city limits, such as detention dams. And because we know that that is a long road, if we proceed with the detention dam proposals, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 detention dams that were proposed in that 1995 study. And Don has suggested, and I gave you a copy of a memo that Don shared with me on May 31st, and this regards the Local Emergency Planning Committee that is in place and has been in place for how many years, Don? Long time, I guess. Involves representatives from all over the county. It's quite a large committee, and I think one idea that maybe this would be one place to start was some type of a smaller task force committee of interested persons that would be especially interested in the flood prevention. They meet, how often do they meet, Don?
At least once a quarter.
At least once a quarter, okay. And let's see, Mike, you are now our representative from the City Commission on the LEPC, and they are concerned with a wide variety of public safety issues, and one thing they've been working on is the pre-disaster mitigation plan that is a part of requirement for federal funding support on mitigation projects. And Don, of course, is our emergency management coordinator for Lake County and is involved in all of these issues. So I think that with the favorable attitude of the county commission, that with your, with the permission of the Madison City Commissioners, we would look to maybe pursuing this model as a step forward. And I asked Don to come, or I should have said, I'm glad Don came tonight because we are discussing these things. And I guess, Don, if you would have any further thoughts on that as you were at the meeting too, or Commissioner Abraham.
Not that I can think of right at the moment, but I think you covered everything, you know, I've got it pretty much on the note there.
Mm-hmm.
And I would add, you know, also the same thing, it's gonna be very important to have the county and some other members involved, as so many of these projects have to be upstream of Madison, and
That's right.
everything that we do through Madison is gonna end up between Madison and Highway 19 and the lake.
Right.
So as much input as we can probably get from
Yes.
all concerned parties is gonna be beneficial to everyone.
The LEPC committee, they do meet in public. Their meetings are posted. Their meetings are open to the public, and they don't get a lot of public participation, but that doesn't mean that the public is excluded from the meeting. And I think on this whole idea of flood prevention and flood issues moving forward, I've stated several times that we're going to need strong public support and strong public information as we move forward on this, if we're going to keep it moving in that direction. So I guess the only thing that I would say that within this task force or special committee, subcommittee, that we would have perhaps advisory or included a couple of our city people, such as department heads of Public Works Department head or Engineering Department head as needed, because they are the lead departments here for our city work. And not that they would have to attend every meeting, but there might be a representative, for example, in the engineering department with Ryan Haig being a certified floodplain administrator. I think he might have some valuable input in there, and we would certainly want Public Works involved, because when it comes to a lot of the work programs and projects, that falls right into the Public Works hands. Do you agree with that, Fred, that we would need some involvement on there, plus our commissioner representative, and if he was unable to be there, perhaps one of the other commissioners could fill in. So I guess that was my thought, my report to you tonight on the meeting with the county commissioners, and maybe some expression of support that we move in that direction, and I'd be very happy with your with your support. I've said it many times, I will not do anything regarding this without the support, full support of the Madison City Commission, because I think that's necessary to move forward. This isn't a one-person show or something that is somebody going to be taking. We need to keep working together on the plan. And I'd be willing to work with Don and the county commissioners to kind of shepherd this thing forward. Maybe at your next meeting. Do you have a meeting scheduled with the LEPC?
It'll be July 18th, 7:30.
July 18th? That might be a good time to bring up this subject and see, because it is a fairly large committee, and as you stated, Don, all of the people serving on there may not have a special interest in the flood issues as such, and flood prevention, but public safety is their primary concern. And their meetings are held where, Don?
2nd Street Diner.
2nd Street Diner, okay. Is that during evening meeting or day?
In the evening. At 7:30 in the morning and not at the evening.
7:30 a.m.? Okay, and how long the meetings generally last?
Generally, we're out of there before 9 o'clock, but
Okay,
typically takes about
depends upon
an hour.
depends upon the things that are on the agenda. So, I guess, I don't know if we need a motion on that we proceed in that direction. I'd be very happy to work on it. Maybe something should be stated in the minutes that we're interested in this joint committee approach through the LAPC, and we'll see how far we can take that. Or do you want to think on it a week?
No, I think,
We're just assigning additional duties to an existing committee. I don't know that we actually have to do anything.
Okay.
if you want to vote of support, I guess
Yeah.
that's what I was kind of thinking how to.
Well, maybe we could have the minutes show, Jen, that the consensus of the commissioners present is that we move forward with this concept in cooperation with the county on a flood prevention special committee, special task force, whatever the terminology comes out then. Okay, thank you then. I don't, unless there are further questions on that, we'll move to number 2 under new business, and that is to discuss the Banner Engineering 1995 flood study update. At our public meeting that we had at the 4-H grounds recently, we discussed a little bit of this. I have reviewed a copy, Chad has a copy, Don has a copy. I'm not sure how many commissioners have reviewed this in great detail, but it is a very interesting and a comprehensive document. But it was prepared in January of 1995 for the City of Madison and Lake County. And this is the Drainage Basin Storage and Soil Erosion Prevention Study. That is a very comprehensive. Fred, I don't know if you've had a chance to look through this or not. This covers all of the proposals for 5 detention dams, plus a whole list of other things, quite a few of which were accomplished after in the late 90s with replacement bridges in Madison and those types of things that were taken out of this study. In looking at this, I think this material in here is excellent. But this is January of 1995, about 17 years ago. The things that are in here, I think we need to see updated are the financial projection or financial interest associated with these various projects in here, including the detention dams. Also, the environmental aspects. What environmental concerns and permits are in place now, or restrictions, whatever you want to call, state, be they state, federal, that would impact future decision-making in the flood prevention and flood issue area. And then, how long would it take for Banner to review and update this study in those particular areas for it? Some of these things could probably be deleted out of this study. But before we get to that point, since Banner did this study, the 2 people that prepared this study for Banner are still with Banner. Mr. England and Mr. Odens are still employees of Banner Engineering. Mr. England is the general manager. And here again, before I would make any contact on this, I would want the consensus of the City Commission that we should at least inquire of Banner to provide, hopefully without charge, an estimate of what it would take to update this study relating to the financial and the environmental aspects and any other aspects, and how long it would take to do that. Are we looking at 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? This study was actually in preparation for about 1 year, from January 1st of 94 to about January 1st of 95. But that was starting from scratch, this whole thing, which is 80-some pages long, and it's a fine document. Chad, you've had a chance to review that. Would you concur, I guess, chip in?
No.
That's my thought, as one of the next steps that we have to, one of the hoops we have to jump through if we're going to have accurate and projections of what some of these things are on the road ahead.
Yes, I would, Mayor Exum. The couple questions, and I was thinking about this, I didn't know if you wanted to request this information or input from the city commission or from any type of joint committees, LEPC or other such committees, as to some level of guidance, whether it's talked about here again at the commission level or in a smaller group, what's the, interest in updating the entire, you know,
Mm-hmm.
plan, or more focus on, you know, there was a handful, I believe, 3 or maybe 4 recommended options.
Mhm.
Do we look at focusing on those recommended options? Because Banner, I've had some dialogue with those folks, and they have asked that in an initial conversation. We fully anticipate as this moves forward, whichever it may be, you know, whether it's an update of the full plan or maybe focusing more on the recommended options,
Mhm.
it'd be probably a scoping meeting at least to try to sit down with them and say, well, give some guidance to them as they
Yeah.
prepare a proposal.
Do you think we should have this discussion with the Emergency Planning Committee on July 18th? Maybe before we prepare a letter of request to Banner, to kind of get the feel of the task force group. Don, what do you think?
Good possibility we could do something like that.
We could kind of have a general discussion at that July 18th meeting and say that we believe that one of the next steps we have to do is to see where we can go with an update on this report, and an estimate or an analysis of them, of how long it would take and how much money it would take to update portions or substantially all of this report.
It would still fall back on the county and the city for really deciding if they want to actually proceed forward with it.
Mhm.
Going through the LAPC, get their-
I don't know that we needed to wait for that, for the committee to decide.
Is there any way we can get some preliminary numbers on a
Can we
full
just
or
request-
partial?
Yeah.
Mostly for budgeting purposes, because if we wait till
Yeah,
the middle of July to ask for it,
Before we
we're gonna
ask,
be,
yeah.
we're gonna be running out of time to get it in our budget for this year. It'd be nice to at least be
We
able
can ask
to,
them, we can say, you know,
even if they're
what's the
rough
price?
numbers, we can get something in the budget to.
Well, yeah,
so we're not-
give them a index, price index, what's there, a price for redoing or revisiting the whole thing, and then a price for revisiting their top 3.
sure.
Or
'Cause really
see how many of the recommendations are even still viable.
It sounds like the mayor said some are done, some.
Well, some have been done, some maybe aren't with environmental changes and regulations aren't viable solutions anymore.
Yeah,
See
good
what's
point.
still even good
I know
in the
it's-
plan.
it's tough
Chad,
to
in
do
the,
it.
in the engineering world, do you think that they would prepare a proposal for us,
Yeah,
free of charge?
I'll check with them. We've had some discussions, you know.
Okay.
It's
I mean, we're
a
not,
significant study, and so
We're
it's
just
a
asking
significant
for an
amount of work.
estimate.
and-
I guess we're asking for an RFP in respect for an analysis or some updating of all our parts of this study, and,
Right. They, you know, I'll talk to them and I'll report back to you. And, you know, I can't say for sure, but I think there's gonna be some effort on their part to do that, whether or not, you know, that's just a part of doing business for them to prepare a proposal. I can't say for sure. There may be some small costs, but whatever it is, I'll report back and let you know.
Chad, if you could get that back to us before this July 18th meeting, then that would help us going into that
that would,
meeting
that
as
would be
well.
good for that discussion too, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure I can do that. I sort of put them on notice to start thinking about it. They were actually at the public meeting recently. They didn't, just
Oh,
wanted to gauge the
Listen.
consensus and
Oh, good.
the sentiments of the.
I know there's some folks here that probably have an interest in the flood progress or flood issues. Do you think we're on the right track here, making, we want to keep things moving forward?
Yes, I
But
do.
okay, moving, at least get the steps first. We got a few hoops to jump through before we get to some of the big issues and ideas here, so.
What I'm hoping for, Gene, is maybe these engineers will have some new ideas that they didn't have before. I mean,
That's right. There's
Absolutely.
always opening for new ideas. A lot of things can change in 17 years. And, you know, we heard a few things at that meeting, the public meeting down at the 4-H grounds there. The proposals from the
Game
National Fish and Wildlife Service
So
on,
there's some things they don't know. I mean, so there's some things that you, when you share with
Yeah.
them, that they may not know is a tool. So,
yeah, right on, and programs too.
Do you need a motion for
David, do
that?
we need a motion to query, at least inquire of Banner, what's involved here? And
You need a motion if you were gonna spend any money. And the fact that you're just having the engineer look into this wouldn't require any motion.
Okay.
It'd just be done off discussion.
Okay. Well, Chad, will you work with me here in the next few days, or maybe by the end of this week, and we'll try to get either a phone call or something in with Banner to see what their thinking is on that side of the table.
Yep, I can do that. The
What-
report, I should note too, excuse me, should be online here
Okay,
shortly
that
as
was-
well, so.
That was gonna be my next question.
Okay, you're gonna have this-
Understanding it and
You're
putting
going to
it
have
out,
this
so-
online.
So,
Okay,
okay,
we
so-
could also make copies of this
There's
if
a
we
lot of
had to.
pages there.
Yeah,
Yeah. Even though it's 80 pages long, we can make copies. That's not. Have you got any extra copies over at the courthouse, Don?
I've got it scanned in already, I know that.
Okay.
Did we get one, I know that Nancy mentioned that if we had an extra copy, they could put it into the
Library.
inventory at the library so that people could go in and read it right there, so.
Well, it's close to being online anyway, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Well, is there anything else then on number 2, on the update of Banner Engineering? Those are the things that I had on my list here to kind of keep this thing, and the next meeting of the Local Emergency Planning Committee is July 18th at 7:30 a.m. at the Second Street Diner. And that would be kind of the next stage. We'll be talking about this joint city-county effort. And if you are interested in that, you have a notice in the paper on that meeting, Don, and an agenda and so forth, so the public is informed.
The LABC website and everything too. which is-
Okay, and we could probably put that on our city website meeting too, so. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you. New business number 3, we have the Infrastructure Improvement Plan 2013 to 2017 under new business. Chad, or who wishes to open the?
I can speak and try to speak briefly on this. As you know, every year about this time, come to the commission and present an update to this plan. It shows what we want to try to accomplish, or what we can accomplish, maybe I should say it that way, in the next 5 years, considering financial constraints and other constraints. This plan is virtually the same as last year, except for obviously 2012 has dropped off and 2017 has added on to it. And then the cumulative funding availability is tabulated with updated information and such as well. And to keep it short, I guess I'll leave it at that and ask if there's any questions. You know, there's not, you'll notice, again, it's virtually unchanged. 13, 14, 15, and 16 were all in the same plan last year, same projects. Many of them are, at least the 15 and 16 projects are fixed, if you will, to some extent because they're part of DOT planning processes and such that require much lead time in getting those planned and developed. Center Street, that's been, I believe in '07 when we did our first infrastructure improvement plan. That project, the Center Street project, was planned for 2011, so it's been pushed a couple of years. We're hoping that we don't have to do that anymore, and we can proceed with that in 2014. And then the water main replacements coordinated with Fred and his staff on that to identify some potential projects for that $250,000 we had included again last year.
I had one question, Chad. You have a Center Street, this is Highland to Josephine in 2014, ahead of Southeast 4th in 2015, and that would be from Washington to Division. And I realize you're looking at the total project here, I guess that my personal observation is that Southeast Fourth carries a lot more traffic than perhaps Center Street going west. But I realize that there's a lot of other considerations here besides the street surface and the condition of the street surface. You've got all the infrastructure and everything else. Was there some reason that you had that or not? Or hasn't that been decided? Or maybe that question to ask. Maybe it
No.
isn't even a good question. I don't
No,
know.
that's a good question. Fourth Street, we plan, in 2014, we anticipate completing the work at the water treatment plant. And so, which involves the main
Oh,
line
okay,
from the
okay.
plant to the road. And so in 2015,
Yep.
we're gonna tie on to that new line. And
Okay.
build that
All right.
in Fourth
That's right.
Street. That's,
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, that's a big deal
Yeah.
down there. I forgot, that slipped my mind.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that is also,
You don't want to be rebuilding a street and then have to tear it all up a year later.
right, well, and it'll be one year stagger, but we need to get that line from the plant to the street first in 2014, and then in 15, we'll tie onto that and move forward. And part of it is, there's a 2.5, 3 year time lag in when you are into this DOT system, where they have to prepare the plan several years in advance, and it has to circulate through all their departments in the
Mhm.
federal highway and such like that. And so it would probably not be possible to move Fourth Street into 2014 and still meet the DOT deadline.
Sure.
For that, because in reality, I'll probably be contacting them very soon to commence the process for that Fourth Street project. And again, Center Street, moving back to that, which is in here as 2014, that's just a project that we'd planned and hoped to try to do for quite some time, and it's been pushed a little bit, and actually downsized from some as well over the last couple of years, and we just hope to do that. I know Fred can probably attest that his people, both the water people, but probably more so the street folks, are really hoping that gets accomplished as well.
I would suppose some of that stuff on West Center, water mains, storm sewer, sanitary sewers, probably been there for what, 100 years?
Quite a long time.
Quite a long time. Probably some of the very first that was put into Madison is still in the ground, because it's never been replaced. Probably a little older than down over on Southeast Fourth, as such. I don't know, but it's just a guess.
No, that's a good question. There's a 4-inch line, 4-inch water main on Center Street, so we're accomplishing that as well. And then the curb, if you drive there, you'll notice the curb, it's an older style curb that's been overlaid, and there's not a lot of curb in some locations, and so it's just been on the priority
Mhm.
system of not only this generation, myself and Fred, but our predecessors made it pretty clear to us too that that's been something they wanted to do as well. So we've carried that as a priority, in part due to their recommendations as well.
And that
Okay.
would be finished about 2/3 of Center Street then?
As far as through town,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be about right. You know, there would be, I'm trying to think how many blocks there would be left.
Has any of the stuff, say, on Center Street now, right here, from, say, Washington to Josephine, is that all about the same age, or has any of that been replaced in the last 30, 40, 50 years? Who knows?
I can't
No
say.
idea. I can't say either.
I don't know either.
Bob's not here.
I think from Josephine, the curb and such is in better shape. It's more of a modern type curb instead of a square type.
But did they do the infrastructure below ground if they redid the street?
Yeah, I don't know. I hope they did. And that's part of what we try to do when we look at these projects.
Yeah.
We try to very carefully look at these to avoid doing surface improvements without
Mhm. Yeah,
doing the underground, we look at that very carefully when we do that.
Okay.
Coordinating with Fred and his staff, and their TVing of sewer lines and such like that, so we are making good decisions as best we can.
well, thank you. Comments, questions from any other commissioners? Those are the things that kind of entered my mind as I looked over the list there, but. Anything, Scott? Okay. Okay, then we would need a motion to approve the infrastructure improvement plan from 2013 to 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion is made and seconded that we approve the infrastructure improvement plan as presented for 2013 to 2017. Any questions or speaking on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Okay, thank you. New business number 4, applications for one-day alcohol licenses for DSU Foundation on the dates of July 7, July 13th, and July 21. David, I'm glad you came. We had a question on a possible conflict here. Nick, do you want to?
I am contracted to work 2 of these dates, one for band and one as the DJ provider for both of those events. Is that a problem or not?
Is DSU contracting with you to do so? Or is it the
Uh,
parties or,
The foundation probably is at the gala,
okay, you should abstain from that vote.
but they're all going to go through as one.
Can we do them all as one, or do we have to
Can
do
we
it
do them
separately?
all, or one or separately?
In my opinion, you should do them separately.
Okay, do it separately. Okay.
Okay.
With that, then, in my,
Then I have my question, that this is, if one of these is with Airmark, I'm not employed by Airmark, and with DSU, I'm only employed by DSU through a contract, and I'm not under a contract right now.
You have no conflict. You can vote if you would like.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
okay, any further questions then? We will take then the request for, the first one is July 7th, for the Dakota Prairie Playhouse, Dakota State University, temporary alcohol license.
Make a motion to approve the temporary alcohol license for, where's this one directly to? DSU Foundation. Did I get the right date? July.
July
yeah.
7th.
July
Yeah,
7th,
for DSU Foundation.
for July
For
7th.
July 7th.
And I will second that.
Okay, the motion is made and seconded that we approve the temporary alcohol license application from the DSU Foundation for the date of July 7th, 2012. Any questions or speaking? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried. The next one would be a temporary alcohol license application from the DSU Foundation for the date of July 13th, 2012.
Make a motion to approve the temporary alcohol license for the DSU Foundation for the date of July 13th, 2012.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded that we approve the temporary alcohol license application for the DSU Foundation for the date of July 13th, 2012. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Then we have the third one. This would be a temporary alcohol license application for the DSU Foundation, Dakota Prairie Playhouse, for the date of July 21st, 2012.
I make a motion to approve the temporary alcohol license for the DSU Foundation for the date of July 21st, 2012.
I'll second.
Motion is made and seconded that we approve the temporary alcohol license application from the DSU Foundation for the date of July 21st, 2012. Any questions or speaking to that motion?
For the record, I will be abstaining from this one.
Okay, Commissioner Abraham abstains. No further speaking. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Okay, that completes the order of business for the commission agenda for this meeting. We have a call for an executive session to consult with the attorney regarding contractual negotiations. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion is second to go into executive session. Okay, I guess we have about 6:05.